It's a lot of questions that people ask worldwide. What is like being an African American? What are an African American or African DNA people? What you say who are born in America? That's what we are, and we come in many different shades of brown, black, even red, yellow, type brown, copper brown looking individuals. Me myself, I'm an African American. I'm dark brown. Sometimes I appear to be even just brown, but mostly dark brown. Or sometimes I appear to look black due to if the sun hit me. I have African DNA, and I was born in America. That would make me an African American. And African is a term that the European gave us. All these words is from what the Europeans see of us. And so this is like a code. When you say African, you know who you're talking about. Melanated black people of the sun. So all those who has African DNA, and you can tell due to your DNA tests, which would say you got the haplogroup group L, which is the black woman DNA. It could be L0, L1, L2, L3. Of course, L4, L5, and L6. It go to like 7 haplogroups of the woman, black woman. But also the male haplogroups, which you got AB, you got E, and so forth. So now, these haplogroups or EM2 or EM96, that's how you would know, and many others, etc. So what are the names that we call ourselves as African Americans? It's niggas, Negro, melanated people, Gullah Geechee, Creole, and some say they are black Indians. But a lot of these names came from what the Europeans said. But some words like Gullah Geechee, that we are, Creole. So that's how you know you are American a lot of times, because we would say Gullah Geechee, Creole, niggas, a Negro, a melanated people. These are our words. Some say black Indians or Afro Indians. So black is a coded name that we call all shades of brown, all shades of not only brown, but also we really got black people who are purple, who so black to they purple, who so black to they blue. And also you got the copper yellow type of brown, the olive type of brown, the reddish type of brown. So all of this is what you call black or African American. So how to identify or how to tell an African American person or people in North America, we are identified, our phenotypes is having big noses with a round pointed nose, but also short bridge nose. Short bridge nose. Some have big lips to medium sized lips. Coarse kinky hair, coily hair, which is curly, but what they can describe as naps when you don't comb it. Our eyes are big, some are small, some are deep set, you know. So these are traits of African American people. I didn't say the motherland Africans, I'm talking about over here in America. Continuing on, our heads, the way they shape, they're long. Some got coconut head, someone's got coconut heads, someone's got round heads. Some of our heads is round or olive shape or like an egg shape. It comes in many forms when we talk about African people. We're a diverse type of people. And so our head could be a coconut shape, a peanut shape, or just like a round shape. You know what I'm saying? So we come in many forms. But some of us have long necks and short necks. But the thing you will see that stand out on a lot of us is big dimples. Big dimples, high cheekbones. A lot of us have baby faces. And some of us have hairy faces that look like beards and stuff like that. And thick sideburns. But most of all, our faces are smooth. The glowing black kind, the glowing dark brown kind, the glowing brown kind, or the glowing copper brown. to the glowing reddish brown or yellow olive brown color. Yes, now our teeth are big, but some of us got gaps in our mouths and our teeth, and they're big, and some are medium. But you got some blacks or African American people who have small teeth. So we come in many forms. We talking about African people, but the most thing that stick out of African people is the nose and the curly hair, the kinky hair. How you really would know? Look at the hair. If it's kinky, curly, 9 times out of 10 is a good chance that they are African American. No matter if they're kinky and they small or big, or they coily or kinky or nappy. Do you know that these are African Americans? The hair definitely is one of the most powerful tools to describe African American. And of course, they from America to be African American. That's why you add the African to American, because it lets you know it's the same DNA as some of the African brothers in other continents. But see, over here, a lot of us got a mixture of other races within our DNA too. A lot of us have from 75% to 100% African DNA. That's how you know a true African American. Or let me say I'm gonna give it a better percentage. From 65% to 100%, because you got some pure African Americans too who got straight African blood. But most of us have from 65% to 90-something percent. So this is how you know African Americans, African DNA. And we have a little mixture of Mongoloid, which is your Iraqi people or your Indian people or your Chinese people. But also we have something like a little bit of white folks in us. Some of us, not all of us. Like I said, you got pure African Americans too. So we are the diverse type. But the thing is, the melanated Africans, no matter if you're 65%, 75%, or 80%, or even 60%, if you got kinky curly hair, and that would dominate, that would come out you, that's what you would see the most of, because it dominates. It would take over. It would take over all the mixture. The African part would take over the DNA. And so this is why that's important. The more African you got, the more it take over. Because African DNA itself is strong. Even if you have 40%, it's going to be strong in you. Even if you got 30% African DNA, it still can take over the rest of whatever you mix with. Because it's strong. It's strong. So, and it don't matter how dark you is, the darker or lighter, that don't make nobody more African than the other. If you got African DNA, you got it. You know what I mean? So that's why you see some light-skinned people can take down a dark-skinned person. Or a dark-skinned person can take down a light-skinned person. Or a person who not real dark or light can take down any kind. So it depends on the person, the individual. You got African DNA, no matter what, the African side of you will come out and strong. No matter if you got 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%. If you got African blood, it will come out somehow. And nobody better than the other. So, continuing on. You know. At least one of your parents gonna be African. One of your parents will be African. That's how you know too. Or have African in them. Well, at least one parent gonna be African or have African in them for you to be African. Even if the other is Mongoloid or Caucasian. So this is how you know. Now, we got a lot of mixture here, but you'll see a lot of the nigger traits or a lot of the African American traits. Some could tune into the other side if they want to, but you can't help but see the nigger traits regardless. And then even albinos, some got a high percentage of Africans. They just albino due to mutilation, genes mutilations, or something happened. But anyway, moving on. Like I say, even with a mixture, the African will dominate. It's a dominate blood. Because melanin always wins. Copper always wins. Or not copper, yeah, copper or carbon. That always wins. So how to define an African American culture or lifestyle? And yes, we created a culture since slavery, because slavery been a big effect. Our people had to survive the best way they could. And I admire our people because they found ways to maneuver through slavery. But today, you have a lot of brothers and sisters want to downplay what our ancestors did, but during that time they had to survive how they had to survive. So that's the thing. We must give them admiration because they did a great job, excellent. I mean, because they were so strong through the storm. Of course, you're gonna have some who will sell out, but some would seem as a sellout, but some had to do what they had to do because they didn't want to see their sons and daughters get slaughtered by the slave master. So some had to suck up to the masters to help their sons and daughters survive. And we survived many ways. The way we had our own language, and the oppressors didn't even know what we were speaking. And we integrated with the Africans who was already here, which is what they call the Indians already here, or also the Mongoloid, because Caucasians, and because some Caucasian was into slavery too, and Mongoloid people. So we linked up with all these people, and some of us did have babies with these people, because some Africans been here already with the Mongoloids, already been here for a very long time before the Spaniard came and conquered, or the European came and conquered. So that we got to understand. I say Africans and Mongoloids already been here, and some became Africans mixed with Mongoloid, what they call the Black Indians, a little mixture. But with this being said, African Americans, our culture, our lifestyle is defined as cheerful. We're very cheerful people, very family-oriented people. A lot of us very family-oriented, unless we've been brainwashed by poverty. But let's poverty tore us down. We've been brainwashed by the streets, brainwashed by negative influence. Let's things that happen in the family where our people had to struggle, and that's all we've been around. But some of us still, regardless of all the poverty, all the crime, everything that goes around, or the drug dealing, the street life, some Africans still, African Americans still maintain to be successful and be strong. And so the basis of us, to us, how we define and should be defined it as cheerful, family oriented. But we love to party. We party going people, happy going people, and we very friendly. It's easy for other races to be friends with us. And the crazy part is today is we're friendly with others, but not with ourselves no more. It's like we hate ourselves, and so much genocide because of that. But we should be described as friendly, very active. Party going don't mean just drugs and alcohol, which is true that we do engage into that. Party going also means like we like to have fun. We're very active people, very active, like to do things. But some today can be very lazy. But this is how we define as active people. When it comes to entertainment, we're into entertainment, we're into sports, we're into music, we're into the arts, we're into dancing, and we love cookouts and get-togethers. Of course, party, get-togethers, all that go along with that. And family time come together, and we like to tell stories. That is in our nature to tell stories. One of the most imaginative people on the planet. We like to tell stories and stuff like that there. And very articulate how we speak. You got many ways to express ourselves and speak slangs and create our own words. Sometimes we create our own words out of the English language. The thing is, what I love about us, our culture, African American culture, is that we create something out of nothing. Which means that even the English language that's not known for us as ours, is known as Caucasian or the Europeans. We created something out of that. Anything that we get into, we be the chemist. Even though I'm a very divine, very spiritual person, not religious, but almost every African American, if not every, a lot of us, it could be 70%, whatever percentage you put on it, we grew up in the church or around family members that was in the church. So the thing is about that is that since we grew up like that, this kind of like discombobulate our minds. But some of us already had a rebellious spirit in our DNA, because it's in the DNA to let us know that something ain't right. But even though this ain't our religion, it could be Christianity, it could be Islam, whatever religion there is, because religion is mostly man-made. One thing I like about us, we still make the best out of everything, even religion. So that's my whole point. We make the best out of everything. So we do believe in higher power. That's naturally part of us. Spiritual beings. We got so much energy due to the melanin we hold that we can't do nothing but to know about energy, because we energetic person unless we taking psychiatric pills or meditation that break us down, because they say that we was crazy, or people thinking we crazy because they say that we hyperactive. But come to find out, it's not the hyperactive part to classify us as crazy or give us pills that will slow us down. It's what we do with this energy. We put it into something productive and we learn how to discipline this energy and have a little control over it, we'll be better. But we are energetic people naturally. We are nature-loving people naturally. We are the person who love a higher power naturally. A person who needs something to believe in and got to have a cause to fight or something to set our minds on. Because what we're going to do with all this energy? If not, we can put our energy into negativity, want to be the hardest, the baddest person on the planet, hurting each other, shooting each other. And we can let other people influence us. So it's what we do with the energy that makes us. But we are a type of people, very spiritual people, a very got to have something to believe in people, nature-loving people. And that's what I love about us. So this is what keeps us as black people, aka African Americans or niggas, going or stable to a degree. It keep us going and stable by having something to believe in. But also African Americans have a unique lingo. That's what I love about us, especially Gullah Geechee. Some of us, they say that we create these languages so the Europeans can't understand us. But the thing is, some of us can't pronounce these English words right. So these not really our words in our language. Even to this day, in my DNA, I mess up with so many words because it's not in my DNA. So DNA got to be a part of it, and that's why this language transfer to us have saying these words until it don't come out like the full expression. Like instead of saying for, I say fo. We say fo. Shorten up the words, and we creating our own lingo out of English. You see, that's why they will call this Gullah Geechee or Creole, because some of it is broken English, and some people would disagree, but that's part of what Gullah Geechee is. But also we create words and slangs and metaphors that mean this and mean that. So this is very unique about us, which we speak Pidgin language, Creole, Gullah Geechee. A lot of us, and some of us can speak, just like a European, but we have many expressions, many styles. So this is what I love about being an African American. And you ask me what word I would love the most, African American, is because we do have African DNA. But I do like nigga, because since we know what it means. I mean, royalty and authority. It's just like niggas. They just add 2 G's in nigga instead of one. It's sort of like the Niger River, the N and the G you see in there. So it's very powerful. I mean, royalty. It means divine. It means spiritual. It means strength. It means power. So that's why I love words like nigga. Some would say Negro. Whatever you choose to call yourself, even a black Indian, it's approved of as in the African American culture, because the verge of thoughts, of the verge, which means many ways we think, many ways of philosophy. And this is what I love the most, because our dialect is hard, because from our DNA and the atmosphere that we own, we speak differently. Like I'm in the south east of the USA or North America, so I would speak Gullah Geechee in this area, Savannah, Georgia. But some in Charleston would even speak more Gullah Geechee than me. And some up north would speak even a different dialect. So it depends on the atmosphere too that helps us create these different languages. But we still got the same DNA where we would do some of the same stuff. So atmosphere do matter, because they got different frequencies and different degrees. But it still don't change what our DNA have in it, because our DNA is information, is how we develop. That's how we are developed through this information. So every generation we creating and advancing. So just like my generation was better than the generation before, the generation that's after me will be better than my generation. So this how it goes on. So the more things I develop, the more things get better. That's just like now they got cars that can ride by themselves, like Tesla's cars. So before then, they had regular cars where you had to drive. So keep advancing. So all the information and what you put your mind into, all that's creating souls. It's creating souls. And what happened is that things advancing. So is the DNA advancing. Whatever I create in this life, it's in my DNA. That what your kids will have, the same DNA as you have. And once your kids advance, what things they do will be in their DNA, and they will give it to their kids. So it keep going on and on and on. And so African people, African Americans, which I'd rather say, or black people, or nigger people, we like living around the seas, the rivers, the oceans. See, when you live around the seas, the rivers, and the oceans, you speak different than the inland that's deep in the inner part of American black people, African people. So this is very important. You know, you got some who like the inlands, of course, because in Savannah, I'm around the ocean, the sea, but I'm still in the inland of Savannah, even though we got the islands like Tybee Island, a whole bunch of islands, about 13 different islands or more around Savannah. So that's very important. What do most African Americans love to do the most? What we love to do the most as African Americans, we like to have peace, love, harmony, everything flowing right, like a good life. That's the regular basis of African Americans. So this is why we hate all this destructive stuff, unless we've been grew up in a world of being influenced by drugs, being influenced by the streets, being influenced by all this negativity in the world. So basically, we are very peaceful people until our mind get brainwashed with all these different concepts that's not ours. When we not into our real self, we into other people thinking, like man-made laws, man-made Bibles and stuff. Once we into that, anything man-made, we lose. But when we become spiritual and divine, that's when we be our best self. Our best self really want peace, really want love, harmony, and to live a good life. Like have fun, enjoy life. That we want to do. Be in the ocean, be with our family and shop around, explore, be adventurous. We want to do things. And I'm speaking from a whole perspective of me knowing what African American really want, even though some of us on the downside and have some of the murderous intentions today and bad thinking, but this is what we really want before we had them thinkings and them thoughts. So I know because I'm an African American, so I can speak on this, and I can speak for the whole, because everybody I'm around, I know that a lot of them want the same thing. I done talk to people left and right, and I know. So we like to do fun things, basically, and this is how we feel high when we're in tune with nature, being out in the river, having that peace. You know what I mean? We want to feel empowered by life, empowered, doing something great for people, for each other, helping each other, feeding people. That's what the majority want until we get on the downside of ourselves. Just like we the best on the upside, we could be the worst on the downside too. So that's the thing about us. So it's like the screamers type energy, because all this melanin is up one way or the other. But at the same time, we can have many ways. We can peer this way, but peer that way. Peer that way, but peer this way, because we are diverse type of energy of people, which is carbon-based, melanin-based people. So this is very important. And a lot of us feel a need for some kind of high to help us cope in North America. Like they get on drugs, alcohol, and stuff like that there, and all that there. But that's because they don't know their true selves. So once you know yourself, you understand that you don't need no influence and that you are the influence. And so those who spiritual, not religion, because religions feel the need to cope some way too. They do everything out sneaky like. But when you become spiritual and you know yourself, your coping your coping skills or your coping skills will be some of the best, especially be a spirit itself. By you knowing yourself, you know that you are the influence. And even though some get into drugs, sex, and crime to reward their dopamine, but my dopamine will be spiritual. Knowing who I am, divine, feeling good about myself, knowing that I create my reality, knowing that I'm part of something that's powerful than what drugs and alcohol is, something that's powerful than what you are and I am, something powerful than what I am in this body. You see? So this is very powerful. Even though it's sad that they do this crime, drugs, and all this here, but it is what it is. So it's a lot of genocide, suicide, and self-hate today for African Americans. So this is how it is today. I'm speaking it. This is how it is. But you got a lot of brothers who out here putting this energy out here to help awake people, black people. Some, of course, you have some with the fake awakeness and some with the real deal. Some just about money and some with the real deal. You know what I'm saying? But in some way, we have to prosper. We're the type of people today where we want to prosper. We want to do things, which means if you can buy a book, why you can't spend a little bit on this knowledge? I'm going to give you more than what a book can give you. You see what I'm saying? So yes, some of us do, because this is a capitalistic society, the predicament we're in. Of course, we won't stand ourselves and down ourselves. That's the most proper thing to do in the society. So the question would be, do I believe white supremacy play a big part in African American genocides? Yes. To some big degree, yes. To some big degree, yes. In our ancestor days, but it's to a very lesser degree nowadays. It's our own fault nowadays, genocides. We just don't know that we can do it today. And that's what being awoke means, that you make people aware of what they can do and their powers and their gifts to utilize it. So I can say today it's our fault, but we still blaming white supremacy instead of trying to make a change, because we're very free to do so, to make this change. Even though black people have to work harder than other racial groups, we still got this chance, and we can go harder. We got all this energy that we're born with, without that melanin for. Very melanated people. Every race got melanin, but we are really melanated people. Which means we got a whole lot of it. So, this is the reason why. Because it's our fault. Everything we do or say out our mouths today is definitely an excuse. So we won't move forward. Just to not move forward. So we are blaming our poverty conditions. We still blaming slavery. I just dislike that. We always talking about slavery this, slavery that. We wasn't in our ancestor days. That's why we should get all honor to them, because they were tough and they got it to where it is today. It's better for us today where we could really do something. So we got to give all honor to everyone. Even Martin Luther King. You know, a lot of people say this and that about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all of them. Even it don't matter the Crips, the Blood, because it teaches us how to deal with stuff like the Crips and the Blood. When you're trying to win against this mentally, physically, emotionally, all around, it teaches us even all like evil or negative. You got to look at it, turn it into a good perspective, because it show you if you don't know how to be tricked, you can be tricked every time. But if you know how to be tricked, you know how to get around that trickster. You know how to defeat that trickster. So that's why you got to give all honor to everything, you know, because it made you powerful, it made you strong, it made you an authority. So, but we still blaming our poverty conditions. When all we got to do is try to get up and get something, work hard to get up. We can do it. It's just in us. We got to put it in us, that scrimp, that mindset, and give ourselves the willpower to do that. And how we do that is being awoke, being to spirituality every day, taking divine concept every day and applying it every day till you build yourself up. So this is where we at today. And also we are being lazy, waiting on our reparations, When in nationality, our reparations is already here. It's ourselves getting it. We can do what we like if we put our mind to it, and don't sell each other out, and don't hate against each other. Don't be jealous against each other. We can make it happen. And after slavery, the guerrilla wars, when we defeated the U.S. Army and these other armies, and our ancestors defeated them. When I say we, I'm talking about our ancestors, because we are the descendants of our ancestors. So when they defeated the U.S. armies and stuff like that, you got to think of this. They had land. They had, and especially in Savannah area, a lot of people were given land, even though another president came, I think it was Johnson or Jackson, one of them took the land back. But still, just like how we got out the guerrilla war, we fought our way out, we got to fight our way out of everything we do. This is how we win. But when we divided, we can't win at all. Period. And to this day, it's all about having a great concept in your mind, great principles, being divine. This will help you stand strong. We got into the ancestors, we won. So they put churches there and liquor stores there to divide us, separate us, and different ideologies, religions to divide us. Because the true essence of African people is spiritual, always. They told you that voodoo was evil, and they also turned it to evil. They told you so much stuff was evil about African spirituality. They show you that, talking about this magic and all this here. So they turn you away to get you scared. But you don't know that you are the powers. You are the source. So here in America, our ancestors had to make a way, and they used churches and stuff like that so they could practice their tradition still. They had to hide. They couldn't let the slave master know that they would practice their tradition still. So some of them still kept the tradition alive in the underground churches where they drew some of the African symbols, the Congo symbols of Africa, where they're practicing their little spiritual practices and stuff like that in the basement. And so this is, our people was unique. They had to find ways to survive, speaking codes where the oppressors didn't know. So they were so unique until they kept fighting them until they finally freed us. Well, really, we freed ourselves, but we forced his hand, which means we forced Abraham Lincoln's hand to free us, because we put so much pressure on these Europeans, all over the U.S., put so much pressure on them. They people were like, you got to do something about this, Abraham Lincoln. And he seen all the soldiers was dying, all these African Americans killing his soldiers, or black Indians killing his soldiers, or both. However, he had to do something. He had to put that into play. So he put it into play. So he didn't free us himself. It was for us. We did it. So with that being said, the question is, why African Americans can't stop killing each other? It's a mindset. That's why. Their mindset is what their mind set on. They set on with another man and able in their mind, which means Europeans or another racial group put in their mind to destroy themselves. They stuck on how the fantasies in the movies, fantasy movies, the media, through the music. All is violent, all is destructive. And this is why we can't start killing each other, because we think it's cool to be gangster. We see that the white man done it first, where he was like your Al Capones and all that there. They done it first. Then we seen the Italians do it. We seen all these different groups of Europeans do it. And it appeared to be tough to us. So now we infiltrate. When we take over, we go to the screen. We be worse than they is. So this is why it is like it is today. They did it first. And let me say this. Let me make this clear. Not only black people been in slavery, or African people been in slavery, also Caucasians been in slavery. Mongolians been in slavery. Because it's always been about power and capitalism by a certain group of individuals. So they used to fight each other. These certain groups of Europeans fighting against each other. They used to utilize Africans and armies to fight against each other. Like the British used Africans to protect them and to fight for them. So did the U.S. The U.S. did to fight against the British. So did the Spaniard use Africans. And what they granted the Africans is freedom just to do all that. You see what I'm saying? Because they didn't want their European brothers to take over. They were fighting over territory. Just like today, it's still over territory. But for us African people, we fight on territory that we had no control over today. I said today. Back then was different when we were first in America before they conquer us, of course. And people would say that the Indians is the rich people on this land, or black people is the origins of this land, or the primordial, which means first people of this land, and that's true. We are first everywhere. It's documented. But the thing is that if you do a DNA test between the Americans who was here and in Africa and wherever African people at, they had the same type of DNA strands, which is the L haplogroup for the black woman, or they have some of the black male, a black man haplogroups. So it'd be the same thing. Same thing. They have African woman and an African man haplogroups. No matter if it's here, the primordial people in Americas, or whatever, then you'll see that there's a connection. And so all that Africans wasn't here first, that's a lie. If we got haplogroups, which means in Africa they got haplogroups that's over 200,000 years, according to science, according to these people who supposed to do their research. If this is true, then you saying that America is new age, because African DNA is the oldest DNA. So what is you saying? You still downplaying yourself to say that you're not African. So this is the reason why we're killing each other, because the mindsets. We blame everything. We got excuse for everything. Instead of taking responsibility for ourselves, we don't want to get off our ass and take responsibility for ourselves. We don't want to eat properly. We don't want to do nothing properly, not even think properly. So because we're so comfortable but how we lived it and how we thinking, instead of trying to change it, instead of trying to be a better person. So sometimes you get to the point to where people just don't care no more. And this is what happened with black people, until they get in circumstances where they really fear death. Because black people, a lot of them do fear death, even though the spiritual ones don't, because they understand what death is. They understand that you really don't die. You just come on out the flesh, but you don't die. You is energy, you spirit. So you go back to the source, be part of the source. You come in different forms, different energies, different degrees, and different frequencies. So we understand all this. But this is the reason why we killing each other. We programmed it. We need to reprogram our mind and to change our thinking, the way we think, the way we operate, the way we move. Other than that, we stick to the program of the European mindset or destructive mindset. We will harm each other, continue to do it. But let me say this: we can never fully exterminate the black race, because you got so many good warriors and good people, black people, who will stand up. You can never fully destroy us. Even they can't. When I say they, I'm talking about the Europeans or other races. They can't fully exterminate us. And as far as the population count, do I believe it? Nah, because it goes deeper than what they say. It goes deeper than what they say, the population count. So you can't fully count all Africans, because some Africans hide in the woods, and a lot of you be teasing them. Oh, they in the jungle. Oh, look at them. Look how they survived. They did it so they can have freedom. The only way you can have full freedom is get your own food, create your own house, do your own fire, do your own everything, make your own clothes. And that's through the woods, through killing animals and through chopping down trees, not killing animals for the intent of being a killer, but for survival tactics. That's the only way you can be fully free. Other than that, you can never be fully free. You still gonna have, the only way you can be fully free, as far as I'm gonna say in the earthly way, is that way. But the spiritual way, you can be fully free when you change your thinking, your thoughts. So you could be free spiritually. You could be free, because if you're spiritually free, you can be all the way free. Because then clothes don't matter to you no more. Cars don't matter. Not even the name brand. No matter if it's white people car brand, European car brand, or an African car brand, because that's earthly. But when you're spiritual, you can be fully free. You can really be fully free. So the program, and this is why we destroying each other, killing each other. So which name of your race group, ethnicity group you prefer to be called in North America? Like I said, you call me anything. I call myself African American or a nigga. I like that, or a black person. So anything that deal with that, even a black Indian, Afro Indian, that's cool with me too, cause I understand. But you can call me that, but how I really see myself deep within, them the surface level thinking. But which means when I deal with you, him, her, but how I really see myself under the surface, even when I'm dealing with you and him, you can't call me nothing but the divine. Because I'm very spiritual. Because I'm always thinking I'm spiritual regardless of these names. So my spiritual name will be, or what I would prefer to call my race, is not only nigga, African, or black Indian. You can call them the Ma'atian race. Ma'at, they deal with Ma'at, the laws of Ma'at, which means truth, justice, and light, wisdom, which means the science of the soul. Ma'atian people who live in integrity. The Ma'atian race, that's what you could call us. Not only this African American, but this the true names I would rather for you to call us. Ma'atian race. This is what I prefer you to call us. Or the Haru American people. Haru is the super consciousness, higher mind, higher status, a royalty, strong, the humanitarian, the one who will fight for the right of humanity, fight for a good cause, righteous cause, who do live by my art, you know what I'm saying? So called Haru Americans. You can call us the Haru, some would say Heru American. In Greek culture they say Haris Americans. I say Haru Americans. Or Ma'at American race. How about that? Now, that's what I prefer to be called, rather than African American, nigga, or black Indian. Okay, this is what I prefer to be called. That's basically it. Because in America, it's not a tribe I deal with. Because we over here now. It's not no Fula tribe, no Mendenka tribe, even though I got all this in my DNA. Or Yoruba tribe, or Hausa tribe, or Igbo tribe. For me, it's the soul tribe. Who can identify with my soul? Who can identify with my spirit? It's the soul tribe, and this is worldwide. If I can identify with you worldwide, because all African brothers ain't on your frequency and level to identify with you, so it won't be all Africans. It'll be only those who's my soul tribe. It's very spiritual, very divine. They can be from Africa. They can be from Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad. They can be from South America. They can be from England, wherever they from, Africans. Soul tribe. That's my people. So in America, it's the soul tribe that can deal with Americans worldwide, the diaspora worldwide. So that's my soul tribe. And that's names our oppressors and the sleeping black people won't give us. They won't give us the name like Soul Tribe or Haru Americans or Ma'atian race or Ma'atian Americans or Ma'at Americans. They won't give us that type of name. You see what I'm saying? So that's why this is very important. But until then, on the surface level, they will call me nigga, Negro, African American, Black Indian, etc. But it doesn't matter on the surface level because it means the same to me in my third eye. In my third eye, all this means the same to me. But on the divine level, what I call myself, I already told you, Haru, my Atian, my soul tribe. So you can call me Haru American because I was born in America, since I gave it the name American. So just don't call me a Hebrew, a Moor, Ham, etc. Because when I think of ham, I think of pigs being slaughtered. Moving on. What do you think about African Americans getting a Christian name or having a Christian name and changing it into a Muslim name? Does this make a difference for a person to show their dedication to black people? And can it help remove the European thinking in ways away from African Americans' mindset. Okay, no, it doesn't make a difference if a person changed their name to another African name in English, or if they change it from a Christian name or to a Muslim name. They still will suffer mentally in the prison cells of their mindset. The words we speak are English, not the African language. So however we use these words, it doesn't have no meaning until we, as an African Americans, make it have meaning. We can make our names or our words good or bad. It's according to us and our thinking. Even wearing African clothes, any African attire, dressing like an African, or having a Muslim name doesn't make a person free from thinking like our oppressors, or it doesn't make us free inside, or free us from thinking like a European. It's our will that makes us free. Our dedication to spirit that makes us free. The action that we take from spirit that makes us free. And the change of thinking that help break us. So we got to change our thinking, change our ways that breaks through the walls of the mental prison. Everything you own or have has a European signature on it. It don't matter what it is. So they say that we hate Europeans. That's a lie. We can't hate them because it don't matter what it is. Your toothbrush, something to come from a European company or from them in general. Unless, like I say, you are in the woods and you create your own with your hands, or you building and you feeding yourself. That's different. But you got to do that every day. It ain't too many people gonna do that every day. That's why I always say the true freedom is spiritual. It's your mind and spiritual. It's not material things, because with material things you can never be free. Spiritual, you could be free. So everything you own or have has a European signature on it. So the only way to defeat the oppressors is to completely go live in the woods or build your own, or hunt for your own food, build your own house, and do everything by yourself. And then you can be totally free materially. But still, you can have that freedom. But what if you don't have freedom in your mind, your spirit? You can't be right. So even make your own. You can even make your own language. Other than that, a name, clothes, and anything that you didn't make, it's hard to be free from Europeans. And so you're talking about from their thinking, you can be free from that according to how you think. If you change your thinking, which means you move their thinking and have your own thinking, then you can be free. While you still wearing clothes from different racial groups, but you're still free, because to you they just clothes. So the reason why they have symbolisms like the ankh and things like that, why they wear these symbols, is to remind you who you are. When I wear the ankh, I know it represents African spirituality. This is life. I know it represents the Trinity, the mother, the father, and the child. I see life. So it reminds you who you are when you down and out. When you just look at that ankh, you say, oh, you catch that spark back again. You be inspired again. You uplift yourself again when you feel down and out and you're sad. Because when you see these symbols, so all this help uplift you again. That's what these symbols is for, to remind you who you are, give you that strength, that energy back, that power. You can feel it. So that's what these symbols is for. This is what this African attire is for. So you can feel like you're African, so you keep that energy floating. But some of us don't need no attire, because we already got it in our soul to be African, to have this African American spirit. So I just speaking on African Americans and gave you some answers. And right now, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. This is how being an African American is, and this definitely what it be. And it's from the mindset of Corey T. Pankney, aka King Lit. Ashe.